allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have a public hearing to open. Yes,
We need a motion to open the meeting.
yes, so I'm going to take a motion to open the meeting.
You
You have to open the meeting and then minutes.
Anybody want to do that motion?
Motion to open the meeting.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, please say aye. Okay. We had the flag last order, but I need a motion to open a public hearing for,
Did you make a motion for the minutes?
We do the minutes. We got it.
oh, yeah, we can get that. Okay. I'm sorry, guys, I'm under the last sequence
He
here.
just walked in.
I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of August 11th.
Oh, my
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
gosh.
Flags will be skipped, so we've done already. And now I'll take a motion to open the public. So I have a motion for that.
I move we open the public hearing.
Are you gonna say? Okay, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And this is for 59 Howard Street. So do we have somebody represent 59 Howard Street?
Yes.
Okay, gentlemen, please come forward.
Joseph. We have a bunch of boards. Should we put them up on the easel?
He was on.
Do we have any?
Where's the easement?
There's an easel, I think, there's usually an easel. That's yours? Okay, thank you.
Or you can use, I don't know how many, hold on.
Oh,
Yeah, we're in the
Audience.
trustees meetings.
It's a public hearing. I, for some reason, thought we were going to be last on the agenda, so it was a surprise to come in and see we're first, which I'm happy for, so thank you very much.
Maybe I'll just put these one at a time.
Yeah, so, yeah, why don't we do that? We'll just do one at a time. We had an informal review a few months ago. And in the meantime, we went to the Harbor Committee with a plan that was slightly different than what we set down. It was slightly different. I'm going to pull this more about the center. I think. It was slightly different than what we showed you, in part because of the comments that the informal review solicited. We changed the site plan. I'm just showing the location of 59 Howard. It's the corner of Long Island Avenue and Howard Street. Not exactly. There is this village-owned lot that's a largely wetland, which basically makes half of 59 unbuildable because it's within that wetland setbacks. So if we want to go to the other side plan, so it's a large lot and it's a beautiful lot because it is so opening. The current structure on the house is this property, is this little house here in the corner, which I don't know exactly the history of it. Sam probably does know better than I.
Well, it's a little bit green revival.
Yeah, look, I think it was the little captain's house, and what I've heard from the previous owners was it was built for a whaling captain who's in the employ of the Gardner family. I look at, when I go in and look at the timbers inside, I haven't seen anything that predates the saw. So there's not a lot of, in terms of age, my guess is that it's, at best, at its oldest is probably mid-19th century. But I think that's about when saw and lumber came into use, isn't it? Yeah. And so what we're proposing to do is to renovate, restore the existing structure on the outside. It's been heavily modified on the inside, unfortunately. I wish it was more intact, but it's not. And the old floors, the old wide plank floors have been chopped up. The outside is in pretty good shape. I think the windows are pretty old. The glass has those characteristic folds and formations in it. They're single glazed and they're drafty as all get out. So dealing with that's going to be an issue. We're not proposing to change anything on this facade. I think we're proposing to put a door in this facade. And on this facade, we're not proposing to change anything. We are proposing to change the rear, which you can't see in this picture very well, but there is a little, yeah.
This is the back of the
Right.
house here.
Right, so there is a kind of a shed attachment to what is the main gable structure of the house. And attached to the shed is a kind of a vestibule for, to create an airlock for the house. We're proposing to take that vestibule off. I think, again, if you look at the foundation and the stonework and the foundation, stone brickwork and foundation, and that knowing the history of Sag Harbor houses, how the Whalers would acquire a plot of land and build a very basic structure on it because they weren't there very much. And then later on, when they came into some funds or when they decided to stop whaling, they would build a larger structure in front of it. It was a little grander. This is hardly grand, but the front structure is clearly a more predominant structure than the shed in the back. So, and the shed looks like it might be the original structure and the front added on later on. There are differences in the floor levels and in the framing but we're not gonna change it. We're gonna need the shed and just reverse the interior and try to clean it up. So, and then there's several kind of ramshackle structures on the property which are located within the wetland setback. And it's hard, you can't really read them very well here, but they're basically in this area. And we're proposing to just take them down. Because they have really no historical value. They might have had some value in terms of being pre-existing non-conforming, but we're not trying to use that. So the plan is to restore this, to build a new stair on the inside to make the second floor more accessible. It's treacherous on the second floor in the house. It's like a ship's ladder, like a companion mansion. Very steep, very shallow steps. The kind of thing you have to go down backwards just to be safe.
That's the purpose of the dormer, is to allow us to put a legal stair in there.
Right, and you'll see later when we look at the drawings of the proposed structure, there's a dormer to allow us to get the stair under the attic roof. The attic now is being used as bedrooms, and there's a bathroom upstairs, so there's 2 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs. And so we're proposing to put a dormer on, which will allow for regular regulation height stairs and accessibility at the top of the stairs. And then add two structures at the back. One is a 1-story gable structure that then is attached by a hallway, a gallery, to a 2-story gable structure which sits behind it. And the 1-story structure protrudes slightly in front of the existing structure, and the 2-story structure sits behind all of them. So why don't we go to what we have next?
We have renderings, we have elevations,
So we'll
materials.
start with the renderings.
These.
Yeah. It is.
Even darker.
Yeah,
I have some 11 by 17s that are a little.
yeah. Why don't we do that? The print on this didn't turn out very well. It turned out terribly, actually. Sorry about that. I'm going to put them down because it's not really telling the story. This is the existing house, which we're proposing to paint in a dark color. and see the proposed. Do we have the elevations?
Yeah, that might be clear.
Let's do that. Are they better than to read a little bit? Yeah.
They're all one, they're all different. No, they're all different. Here we go. All right, got it. Thank you.
So the drawings are a little easier to read.
You guys have 11 by 17 in the elevations? Most of it?
I don't know, they're in the back.
Oh, they're in the back.
Yeah. So this is the front of the existing structure. And I don't know where they are in your package. They should be behind. There we go. Yeah. Same as this. That worked out. So we're proposing to build what appears to be a one-story structure directly behind the existing structure with the same roof pitch. It's slightly wider and it is almost the same height. And there's the reason for that is that because of the ground level, the groundwater level here, we want to build an attic above this in this one-story structure for storage. Because there's very limited storage on the site. We can't, there's no room really for a garage. There's no cellar, there's no attic space. I mean, it could be made higher, but it would be out of scale then with these buildings. So, but there is the ceiling level really is in here and the space above it wasn't used for storage.
You're gonna do a 4-foot foundation there?
You have to put a 4-foot foundation in, but it'll have to be self-drained, so that there won't be any space really below the structure.
De-watered.
It doesn't have to be de-watered. We'll probably have to be de-watered to build it, but it'll have to be self-draining and it will work because the grade on this side of the property is below the flood level. So it'll be drained. This house will have to be drained too, because this one can close below the base flood elevation. So that will have to be self-draining as well. So whatever we need is we need drainage pipes coming out of the bottom and appearing in the out in the wetland. Because of flood. I've been in it and it's very dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And coincidentally or fortunately, the existing floor level is 6 inches below above what's required.
This is showing us the new.
So the structures are connected by this gallery, which is looking at the other side of the house. This is the existing structure showing the dormer, which was going to house the stair, which comes up into it, and the 1-story structure, and then the 2-story structure. And it's connected by a glass arcade or gallery along the south side, which will allow it, and a lot of sunlight. The other facades of the new structures are likely penetrated with windows for a variety of reasons. Part of privacy, part of it is just because it's I like walls, but I think also that the house wants to look almost like it's a bar instead of trying to compete with the architecture of this little structure. And trying to compete with this architecture, I think would in some ways need it. Or trying to copy it, say, and make it appear as if it was part of the original structure, I think would in some way demean it. There is a tiny little plunge pool in the backyard. Right. There was a piece of loose paper with a picture on it.
Any of these?
No, it wasn't that. It might be in my black bag.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So in terms of finishes, we're proposing to stain the house dark. My thinking is that these very modest little Wellington houses, and you see this a lot in Wellington towns. A lot of them are painted dark. And I don't quite know what the reason was, except for it could have been the material was available to them. Could have been tar. If you're going to Newport, there's a great restaurant on Bannister's Wharf called Black Hill. It's all black, and I'm told it was black because tar, which is used to caulk or one, was used to finish the wood to protect it. And so we're proposing to make the whole assembly monochromatic in a dark color. And I want to show you that I have a sample of the stain that we're proposing to use. This is actually a picture of the stained shingles. The side of the shingles, and the frames will be painted. And there is some horizontal siding proposed. These are actually all three of some, but it's basically.
Remove this a little bit, just face those other can see it on the.
Oh, sorry. So this is actually a picture that I took of this shingle outside in daylight, next to a shingle wall that had no finish on it. And as you can see, as you go down the wall, the staining, the natural staining in the shingles gets darker. And so you see a lot of shingle houses around that had nothing done to them, they're very dark with age. So we're proposing to start out and make this dark with age, and then to basically to have the trim on the house be a black paint with a little bit of rust, a little bit of shine to act as a frame around the openings and changes in material. That's it. Unless, the only other thing is just to reference buildings in Sag Harbor. Private buildings that have been stained or painted dark. These are just some examples. And in fact, if you look across the street, this is black storefronts. This is actually just the dark staining. This is just the natural staining of the shingles.
That's red cedar.
It's red cedar, yeah. That's exactly what this is.
That's natural.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what happens to it naturally. And those shingles are only about 6 or 7 years old when they have with black. Yeah. It's mildew. That builds it.
That dripping,
Well, the dripping.
that's
Yeah.
from the chemicals that's inside those shingles.
Yeah, right, it's from the tannins and stuff in the
Tannins, yeah.
shingles, right? But what causes the blackness in them over the long term is mildew.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
because the oil that's in them is food, mildew. Mildew feeds on the oils in the shingles.
Fred, what is the story on the window?
Let me just interrupt you guys. I made another error when I started this meeting tonight. I forgot to ask you to identify
Oh,
yourself.
I'm sorry, my name is Fred Stell,
Okay.
and I'm an architect who Joseph lives in our office. And the office is located in Bridgehampton. Now we're here representing Tom Stell, who's related to
Okay.
as Bethany knows,
Okay,
and Christian knows.
very good. No, that's all I want to know. Please jump in.
Just, you made mention of the windows, I see you're showing two.
That's what's in there now.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's photograph. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 202s.
So they're not original so what?
Right, they're not original to the house probably, but they're old windows.
Right.
They're old single glazed windows.
Yeah, so what is your,
Well, I was gonna leave the existing windows. I mean, my one thought is that while they may not be original, they're still original to some period of Sag Harbor. And the house doesn't have to be cast in one period only. It can be kind of a record of the history of the village.
so that's what we're usually kind of.
Pushing you. No, I don't, that's push. So I want to keep it as a record of it, and the same with the door, same with the front door. The front door may get replaced, but it's not original.
This is what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And storm windows, or?
Well, that's, I wanted to have a discussion about color and about how to deal with the storm windows. And I personally like storm windows. The house I live in had storm windows up until a couple of years ago. And we're just single glazing. The ritual of taking off the storms and putting on the screens and washing the windows and the space in between, and you know, they have a lovely functionality but they take time. They're not thermally as good, but in any case, so I think what we propose to do is put storm windows on the inside of the house.
That's what I was gonna suggest, because.
It ruins the outside if you just put big sheets of glass, or if you have multiple layers, even with the same pattern, you get this funny kind of disconnection. Right.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, it'll probably be, I'm not quite sure how they'll operate, because we won't be able to open doors. Although the house probably will be air conditioned. The roof we're proposing to be wood shingle as well, except for the dormer, right? Because the dormer is a different, it's not original to the house, which goes to the dormer. No. Possibly same, possibly just a kind of finished bend metal.
So that wouldn't be visible from the street, from the
You
front.
see it from the side.
From the side, not
Yeah,
from
you
the
see it from the side, although we have an extensive.
Heavily landscaped.
Yeah,
Mhm.
should we pull that up?
It is on the back side of the house though.
Yeah. Right, so what's going on here is that we're proposing to plant a series of trees along the front of the house, as well as some trees, some native trees, whether they're maples or Himalayan willows, which are among my favorites. You see a lot in the wetland areas around the house to try to pull the vegetation of the wetland site into the property, so that it reads as one property. Is really the only one that benefits from it, so screening factor of the property of this house. These are actually flowering trees. These are, yeah, these are all magnolias. Right, there's some tulips mixed in with the same maples. So the new entrance, by the way, the new entrance, although there will be a front door, the real entrance is going to be in the side in this kind of connected piece between the one-story structure and the existing structure.
Sorry.
So my question to Zach really is that with this new, what he calls the connecting piece, that is not in line with the exterior facade, is that too much of a visual from the street? You think?
Well, it's, the scale is, height of that bridge
It's lower.
is lower, or what it was.
Well, the addition piece, the one-story piece is the same height, but it's connected by a one-story.
Down there, right?
Right,
Same here, so this is one-story, this is one.
One at the end.
right?
Are you talking about this or this?
No, I'm talking about the one in the middle.
Yes.
With two sliders or whatever.
Right.
That visible from the front of the street because it protrudes out from the.
Right, so
into
the
sideline.
front, this is the front elevation here.
No, I got you. Yeah, so that's it right there. protruding out.
Right.
So that's not existing now. Is that existing now? No,
No.
that's an addition.
Right, that's.
That's really my question to Zach, because
But it's back.
it's back,
It's back, but I mean, you can see it from the side and from the front. My only thought is that just as it's a little different, but you know, that little barn. Door, it's black, make it kind of disappear. It seems to me that maybe if these additions were dark black, but the original front old house is not like, it was not top as the additional structure, the additions to the back are more disappear.
Right?
You got trees next door. It's just an aesthetic
Mhm.
choice.
How about instead of making it white, how about making just a lighter shade?
That seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
A lighter shade.
They were two different colors to begin with, weren't they?
I'm sorry.
The first time you guys came in, they were two different colors.
I think they were the side of
The original house on the
Yeah, yeah.
part of the house.
Yeah.
That's just.
So do you have a picture of the existing picture of the front of the house?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that's lighter anyway.
Yes, it is yellowish.
So are you gonna propose those, are you gonna replace those just because of?
I would do the same thing. I'd be tempted to make it monochromatic, but it's kind of a like light mustard color, not
Yeah,
my
it's more
favorite.
yellow.
Right. But I mean, that's the kind of Zach's
Right.
suggestion that's existing anyway.
Mhm.
And then your additions, if you added to them in the
If
darker
they're dark, I
shade,
think they
that would accomplish what
Make
you're
it
suggesting.
disappear.
Make it
Right.
lighter. It doesn't have to be that
Right, and-
color.
and
It
it-
doesn't have to be white, but it's gotta be lighter than the new.
There's an argument that can be made that if you're trying not to confuse the historical record, why don't you make them all the same color?
Right.
And so maybe the front building should be a different tone or color or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth is that I can't look at renderings of this stuff. I can't even look at little samples like this. We're gonna have to go out there and put them on the building and say, this is really what.
This is what you want.
Yeah. And I don't know whether you have a provision for doing that within this process or not. You know, obviously, we'd like to get started on it. You know, I'm willing to withhold the issue of color until we can actually do it on site.
And your plan for, because the back of the new back addition is much taller.
It's a two-story building.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's much taller than the original.
Right,
And even taller than the middle addition,
right.
right? So I see that you're going to use trees to block it off.
Mhm.
And I see that it is actually, right? 7 and a half
Yeah, the
Taller.
eve is lower. The eve is,
taller than
it's actually not,
they proposed. Like
Yeah,
if
the
you look
ridge.
at the line.
Oh,
I'm
you're talking about the
looking at-
ridge, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm looking at A200 in your packet there.
you also, that you get the sort of foreshortening effect when the buildings behind tend to get lower than the buildings behind usually.
Yes, okay.
So it's gonna have, you're hardly gonna see it because you're not gonna be able to see beyond the top of the one-story roof. Because the other object is,
That's a good blocking it.
right. You know, if this is the one-story roof and this is the two-story roof, you can barely see the two-story roof above. the
Actually, no.
Right.
The ones that are
Yes,
on the
it's this, but look at this.
then there's a taller volume in the back.
Right.
It lined up
It's
like
the
this.
one in the back, it's the one in the
This
back.
one.
No,
This
no,
is
that
the only-
one,
this is the only two
the middle
small.
does line up
Yeah.
perfectly,
That one's tall.
Yeah,
but
see
that one is
one?
definitely tall.
Yeah.
It's much taller.
Right.
Someone standing in front of, let's say, 6 feet and their sight line.
Right.
It's gonna go sailing up.
Right.
You're saying the peak of this that far back,
Will not be
sit
seen,
far enough back.
that this is far enough back that we're not gonna see.
So if we drew a line from this imaginary line here.
Yeah, so.
You know, I mean, that's always something that,
Of course, yeah.
that we think about, is
Yeah,
that
we
we don't
try
want
to
the
make it as
new, we don't
low
want
as
the
we
new
can,
to overshadow
Right.
the
The
original.
other thing,
Right.
the two-story piece is pushed behind this, is what one-story addition, so that there's really no place that you're gonna see this other than the adjacent properties. I mean, you'll see this poking above this, but it's,
But not the
I'm
front.
sorry, here's the front house, right?
Right.
And then here's the middle house. And then the back house is pushed back in line with the front house. And that's what that rendering kind of shows.
Yes.
Yeah. That's taken to the side of the state of the angle show. Otherwise you would see it all from the perspective.
So there,
Are you gonna, going to like cast a huge shadow onto the property? Because this is a backlit photo of the existing structure.
Yeah.
And then is that gonna mess with your plans for
The
landscaping?
vegetation, no, there's plenty of skylight, right? It's not just, there will be direct sunlight over the top of the house, not right against the back of the north side of that addition. But there's, the trees will grow out of that shadow, that wooded shadow. So, and then a lot of the other vegetation is largely shade line. That's what happens with that, that's just that much sunlight.
would there be any way that you could lower the height of the two-story building because it really does loom up over despite trees and whatever else, and the fact that it's set back, it really does seem to loom over the original structure.
We actually did lower it as much as we could. We
Yeah,
lowered
we
it.
only have an 8-foot ceiling on the bottom floor, and then you've got basically 7-foot to your eave here, so it's not a huge space. We're not trying to.
Yeah, the inside of the house,
Limit it
the eave is at 7 feet, 7 feet is about
legal.
here. And it's right, it's the
Doorway
height
is
of the
6'8".
space.
Yeah.
Say again?
Yeah,
I just told her doorway is 6'8", so you can go off of that.
we are aware of it. We tried to minimize it as much as we could.
I know it looms in the drawings, but I think in reality, it's pushed back so far and it's behind these other structures. That it won't be noticeable.
Well, the only alternative would be a flat roof or a slope.
Well, the flat roof would be hard because all it would do is get rid of the ridge.
Right, which is what it's talking about.
Yeah,
So with
I would, I mean, that would be an improvement.
I think that
and,
you're trying to say that you guys wanted to use it as a space of storage too.
It would
well,
probably
that's
be-
over the little pieces for the
we
storage.
have no place for the house.
Just put it in the closet.
That's the angle.
But
Also, did you say something about putting a new door into the original structure?
no, oh, yes, we did. We talked about it, the door on the
Okay.
side.
Is that okay to do, Zach? Is it all right to put a new door into the historic house?
It's on the side of the house, right? And you're talking about lighting.
Side.
It's not on the side.
It's on the other side of the back of the house. Almost the back of this door here. So this is the power street out here, and there's a little walkway that goes along here, so you kind of like you would have your garbage cans or whatever. And this is where the kitchen is.
There is a window there now.
Well, the only alternative would be to just, is this a slider?
Yeah, the reason for this is that
That this is set back.
yeah, it's set back, right? This is 20 feet, 25 feet. I mean,
This comes up, from time to time. Got a big note on the front facade, so that's
On the side.
visually. I mean, to discretion, I don't think making a door out of a window it's less of an issue than introducing new windows, punching new, making things symmetrical, all that. But And it's at the back, so that facade, I think is.
Okay.
So even the windows on the side are going to, of the original
Yeah, those are all the
buildings are going
existing,
to,
yeah.
all the existing.
Are we saying this all the way? Because some of the stuff wrong.
Have been changed
Mhm.
recently, like some of the recently last. And we're gonna change that back to something that's.
Well,
That's just the front.
I'm looking at the
it's
site,
more consistent.
I'm looking at the, so, excuse me, I think the Fred just said that this is 20 feet setback from the side, so you could put a door in on the return.
We could, it's a small house, right, so we're trying to put the door in the area, which I'll show you the plan. You want to get the floor
I
plan?
mean, in the back.
Yeah, on the back,
Yeah.
as it returns back. to the wall. Yeah. That would take care of it.
It's my small-minded architectural approach to things, which is that. Right, so this is the kitchen, so we have the back wall looking out over the backyard. And the door is on the side, and the reason is that there's the pool enclosure, a fence here. That's gonna fence off the pool. And we want to keep a side door for things like,
Deliveries.
deliveries of trash can
And even another entrance to
and a
that,
side
to
entrance.
that original.
Right,
Yeah, you'll see the site plans very close to the.
right, so it's a pretty simple, efficient kitchen with a long
I think it's
counter.
fine. Now, if I go back to this page. Here, with all the, are they all gone?
Yes,
They're all gone?
yes.
Well, not the house.
No, but I mean,
All those
what
sheds.
do you think, I'm just curious, do you think this was originally an outhouse, but it's been changed so much?
No, it's got a block foundation.
Okay.
I mean, it may have been an
May have
outhouse. but
been,
they-
and
they-
they've done so much, they've
Right,
changed
we're
it so
proposing
much.
to take it
I
out.
got it, all right.
They're not in the register.
I mean, even if it was an outhouse at one time, it's not there
It's
anymore.
been changed. Okay.
That was gonna be my question. I wanted to hear a little bit more about those outbuildings.
Like, correct.
It's a funny mishmash of outbuildings as things were in Sag Harbor and even Murphy where I live and even the house I first lived in, I think it was the chicken coop. Not before I bought it, but the previous owner converted it to a house for their mother. And so, you know,
It's a little small.
things cost money. We didn't throw things away. They had some value. They served some purpose. It didn't have to be perfect architecture. It didn't have to be charming. It had to be dry. And that's about it. And so this is a mishmash of structures. Some of the structures may have been brought on the site, so maybe they had given them a garage that they didn't want to do it on the site.
I don't think there's even a foundation under it though.
One of them has a foundation on it, the other does not. And I think the previous owners, they used one as a studio. So they're not heated and insulated or anything.
So I think we've gotten a good sense of what's going on. Does anyone have any more questions or objections here?
Is this a Great Barber?
I'm sorry?
Is
Yes.
this a Great Barber? Are you going to take that down?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's in the way of the extension. You know, we were really limited because of the wetland setbacks, because of that envelope where that house is built is the only place you can go. You know, it can shift a few inches each way, but unfortunately, the Great Barber, and it's not a very good Great Barber. Who knows, we may transplant it. It's Concord grapes, which is sort of the common grape was planted for, you know, eating in late summer,
Mhm.
making big messes when you don't clean it up.
Yeah, I have the same thing.
I grew up with a Concord Great Barber too, so.
Okay, so just to summarize this, you're going to try to do two things. One is you're going to try to put in this door on the side.
I'm going to put the door on
On the
that.
side. Two, you're going to build the middle building, and we're going to try to less than that and the two-story building.
There's nothing we can do for the
Let me
two-story.
just, let me,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
by darkening the color to make them less,
Got it.
right? Okay. And then you mentioned the process to review colors. I don't know, Zach, do you want to do an on-site visit with them without looking at it, or?
I don't know how you can handle that. I mean, usually you get samples and choices like the railroad station, you
Right.
know, and, you know. And in the end, you can't really visualize what those colors will look like once they're long, dried and weathered. So I think just the concept of making the original house lighter, significantly lighter, so that it really is visually more prominent than the dark extensions to the back. I think that's the concept. And
Can we approve demolition and general construction and then decide on the colors when, because I know you want to put them up on the house and see how they look. And are we able to do that?
That's what I was thinking.
And the front door is going to be this door that's there now, or?
yes, and the side door is looking to replicate.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I don't think the
honestly,
front door is historically of any interest except for the fact that it's there now.
well, the color, I'm
Right.
just thinking, because
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't know the color, right?
Yeah.
So, you probably aren't sure yet either, right? I mean, we know that this is not going to be what you presented and be very dark.
Right.
So now I'm just curious about what.
Transit is original. That's original.
It could be, yeah.
No, I would say it is. And the transit means that the door would have been a solid door, not because the purpose of introducing this glazed is to just bring more light into it. Because formerly it's only this little light trickling in. So, and this is done early on. We have houses from 1870s and 80s getting these doors, which could very well be the same period as the sashes. So I think it's good that you're keeping it.
Great.
We have to see if anybody in the public.
Thank you. Does anybody in the public have any comments here in the gallery or?
Want to come to speak?
Please come forward.
Okay.
And you need to identify yourself also, please.
Where should I identify myself?
Right
At
here.
the podium.
Okay, yes, I am George Held. I live
What is
right
your last name?
behind Held. It's 3 Meadowlark Lane. It's right behind the Stella property. And at the first meeting in which this property was discussed before the Harbor Committee, there was considerable discussion of a swimming pool. And I haven't heard any, perhaps I came too late to hear it.
Mr. Helga, it's still there. It's hardly, I would hardly call it a swimming pool. It's really become,
Yeah.
it's a structure that's
You can go in front and look.
here.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's an 8 by 20, basically kind of swimming pool. It's not very deep.
Yeah.
And it's really just a place to cool off. And, so.
I'm in that property there.
Mhm.
Right.
And I brought up at the meeting for the Harbor Committee that there's a lot of flooding in this area.
Yeah, this has got to be raised. The pool's got to be raised because of that. Because
Well, I
of the-
understand that the pool would be raised. That was discussed at the Harbor Committee meeting. But when I just mentioned the need to fill in, as the previous owner has had to do,
Mhm.
to absorb flood water. I heard you mention before that you looked at it and it was dry, but we've had an exceptional drought. As you
Yes, we
know,
have.
10-year drought.
Yeah.
And that's probably why it's dry. But when we have substantial rainfall on consecutive days, that fills with water.
Mhm. You're talking about the low-lying area
No,
here.
no, this area right here between the properties,
Uh-huh.
at the back of your property.
Doesn't have anything to do with architecture.
Right.
Which I don't do.
The previous owner had fill dumped and then come in
20 by 2.
with shovels and go in this area to absorb the excess water.
So part of the, I don't know if you can read this drawing, but you see these round circles here?
Yeah, I've looked at that.
Those are all dry wells for stormwater
Yeah,
retention and for stormwater.
I thought those were trees.
These are actually all dry wells. So these are trees, the green ones are trees.
Okay.
Yeah. So that will help, the trees will help, they help to take up the water, the groundwater. But this is all for stormwater retention. We're required to be able to contain all of the runoff from the site and the buildings on the site. And that's what all these dry wells are for.
Okay.
So, Mr. Held, is your comment, is it an inquiry or do you have a
Well, I just
opposition to it?
wondered
You
how-
just want to know that they've addressed it?
Yes, I want to know if and how you would address it.
Okay.
Are you familiar with what I'm saying?
No, but I'm familiar
The
with wetlands in the place.
Stell property fills up with heavy rainfall.
Yeah, I know, I'm familiar with that. I have, actually, my property, it gets, it's subject to fluctuations in the tides. So I'm just a couple hundred feet off the beach, so I know exactly what you're talking.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Thank you.
With that, I'll take a motion to close the discussion.
Anybody else from the public? Okay. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
And there's a second.
On that. Second.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
when is your next meeting?
In about 2 weeks.
22nd.
Yeah.
So this will still be on the agenda at the next meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So we need a motion to table to the next meeting. And when are we gonna address?
We haven't approved anything. We just had the discussion and made our comments.
So then we don't
And he's gonna
close the
make his
public hearing.
alterations, come back.
Yeah, don't close. Okay, so we're just gonna table the public
He's
hearing.
gonna,
Yeah,
okay.
just confirm that with that and we'll come back.
So I'll take a motion. Well, we had to close the hearing. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take a motion that we have.
Motion to table 59 Howard Street to the next meeting on September 22nd.
Thank you all.
Second. Yeah, what is it that you're coming, that he's coming back
That's
with?
what I was gonna ask you.
Is it the colors?
We're gonna ask the rest for the next meeting, right? So.
What am I expected to?
So at the next meeting, I guess we can get into a formal review of the process, right? We can-
Well,
no, this was a formal review. This isn't a discussion
It's the colors, it's the colors probably that we need. You need to bring the exact color of how, of what you're going to use for the front, and then the original, and then what you're going to do for the back.
Yeah, that's all that's left.
Okay, so we
The
can
idea
approve.
of postponing the color discussion until a later date is not possible.
I don't.
So it's, my suggestion with the colors is either approve the plan and then come back, no, pick a color now, and you can come back and open up the decision in the future.
We can alter it, we can modify it, or we can go with what Chris said, is that we can approve the demolition so we can get started.
We have to keep the public hearing. That's the only issue.
Yeah, but
Okay.
if they close everything, they approve the house and the demo, and then they have to come back for the color, then that would be a different application.
He would just reopen it, right?
No, it would be a totally different
That's
application.
what I mean.
Yeah,
It'd just be a singular.
so you could approve the structure and the demolition without a paint color tonight. Or you could come back on the 22nd with the paint color and everything be approved, so you don't have to come back, when you have a color.
And you don't have to make another application.
Seems like we should just prove everything but the paint right now.
That's what she's saying.
Yeah,
But
So it's
you are
your choice.
saying, Chair, let me just get this correct, that when he comes back, he's going to have to do another application.
We're
for the
going to
paint?
close this completely, and it would be a whole other application for the color of the building.
oh, that seems crazy.
Yeah, that would be another, whatever.
It could be another 10,
So
12
the
months down
question
the
is-
road, so I don't think it's.
Do you expect to demolish in the next 2 weeks? So I think you can come back next week, next meeting and. we'll-
Yeah, I guess the thing is, I guess if you're okay with everything except the colors, then we have our marching orders.
To make a decision.
Because we haven't done any construction drawings before we can start demolition, we've got to do the construction drawings. Okay. So now we can proceed with construction.
Absolutely.
No, and we just have to come back with the color.
So you could also approve it, get us the colors within the next week. You could still be on the 22nd,
And we should reopen
but it would
this
be,
now.
no, that would be a whole new application if you close tonight.
Right, so we don't want to close this. We want to go
Or
back.
is that what he wants to do?
Well, no, I'm happy. I mean, I got the bulk of what I needed to get, which was that.
Can I ask you,
Sure.
if you can make a decision in the next minute, I'd like to table this and go on to the rest of the agenda.
That's fine. And then I will come back.
And we can either table this, or you can sit around and make a decision, when we agree on this at the end of the meeting.
No, I won't be able to make that decision. So I can tell you exactly, I'm happy to come back in 2 weeks with revised colors. It'll probably be the same colors I showed you for the back, and we'll amend the colors for the front.
Do we need it?
So motion to table 59 Harris Street to the next meeting, September 22nd.
But we have to first open, correct?
The hearing.
We have to reopen the public hearing, right?
Yes, before we do anything else.
Okay, you're right, thank you, Beth.
Okay.
So I will entertain a motion to reopen the public hearing on 59 Howard Street.
I'm gonna do that.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Now, sir.
Now, can we table this?
So, oh, yeah, now we're gonna table this.
Now,
I'll take a motion to table this until the next meeting, 59 Howard Street.
We already have.
Stay tuned to get to that.
No, we don't need to reopen the public hearing. Now that we've done that, now I'll take the motion to table this.
I
Until the
would
next.
move that we table 59 Howard Street.
Second.
He can, Mr. Williams can make a motion.
Yes, you can.
So
Oh,
he
she
made-
did, I just seconded her.
Okay.
So we will see you in 2 weeks. All in favor, please? Aye.
Aye.
See you 2 weeks. Okay.
What's the deadline for submission?
Hey,
For you, the day No.
Thank you.
You're on, thank you.
Okay, I guess I'll take a motion to open the consent agenda matter.
We're just making a motion to approve all consent agenda items.
Okay. It includes number 1, 8 Ackley Street. The application is for certificate of coverage for proposed driveway, apron, and curb. 91 Harrison Street, the application is for proposed staircase. 51 Terry Drive is for proposed driveway. 44 Jefferson, I got this. Is for the proposed tree. 3 Montauk Avenue. Proposed installation of a generator. And 169 Bay Street is for the proposed tree removal and amendment of previous HPARB.
I'll make the motion.
Yes.
Did you just state it, Bud, or?
I just
I'll make
read
the
it.
motion.
You
All right,
can
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So moving on to new business and 181 Hampton Street. Is anyone here to represent 181? You have a whole team? You guys play instruments too?
We're gonna do a dance out.
Oh, yeah.
Does everybody have a card or,
I don't,
okay,
should I,
what is your name?
Leo Cruz?
Lisa Boyer with Twin Forks Permits on behalf of the applicant. I'm here with the architects and the landscape architect if you have specific questions. The property is at 181 Hampton Street. It is just barely within the historic district, but it is not a contributing structure into the district. The property area is 14,598 square feet. The entire property is cleared. There's no clearing restrictions. The proposed project will include an addition to the residence. It is set back from the road, from the main line, front line of the existing residence. And this addition will house on the first floor a garage, as well as kind of a mudroom, storage area, laundry facilities. And then on the second floor will be a master suite. And it will only, the master suite will only be accessible by this extension. There's an existing second floor, 1 bedroom here, and 2 existing second floor bedrooms in this area. The other main portion of the residence is 1 story, and this pretty much the whole area, other than this 1 common wall, will remain unchanged. The house proposed finishes for the house is going to match what's there right now, as far as it being a gray, a clear cedar clapboard. A clear cedar clapboard siding. It's just going to match the existing residence that is there right now. If you can see by the roof lines here, it pretty much matches. This is the addition side. This is the existing. So they're trying to match the same kind of a pitch. They're matching the same windows. So that's the additions to the house. So I brought that. And then the project also consists of, we can go back to the house if you have any questions. There's an existing swimming pool here. They're going to remove the pool and reconstruct a new pool, pretty much the same shape. They're gonna put a spa inside. It's pretty much in the same exact location. They're gonna do a little bit of a patio extension here and a fire pit, and then just some landscaping around the property.
Same size also, pool.
Yes, the pool is, yes, you can see it's outlined in the black dashes here. There's a little bump out here for the steps. We're getting rid of that and incorporating the steps next to the spa. So it's not really increasing anything in square footage, and it's pretty much in the exact same location. They're gonna install a new fence along the street here, which is here,
Allen Street along the front of the property line, this,
just along the front of the property.
Yeah.
The other
by the front of the house.
fencing along here will remain is what's there. So it's just this.
What is that,
section.
like a snow fence there? Is that your,
This is the proposed black aluminum fence.
That's gonna be right there.
In this section here
Mhm.
and this section here. The majority of the property, this is existing driveway, all of this is hedged.
Mhm.
So it's only visible from the road in this one area where the driveway is located. But you will be able to see the proposed extension from the road, just given the direct angle. And the driveway pretty much is all here. I think this is the new little section as far as the connector going from the existing parking court to the proposed garage. There's no trees in this location. It's lawn right now. So it's not like we're gonna have to clear any major vegetation. There's some existing vegetation along RDD property.
So the pool from the neighbor on this side already has, is it already?
Yes, there's a fence there already. There's already a pool there.
And how about,
And there's hedging along here. as
There's
well.
hedge.
Yes.
Do you have a picture of the original house?
It's in your packets. There are photographs that were submitted.
you know, do you have it up here? You know?
I unfortunately don't have it there.
Okay.
That's all right. Show them. It's just a simple little gray clapboard house with some white trim. It's pretty,
You said that this wasn't contributing?
However, it's indicated that it is contributing in the district, so
oh,
before
okay.
we get too far afield, before we get
Okay.
too far into.
I confirmed that with the building department yesterday, that it was in the district, but it was not a contributing structure. So I apologize if that's.
Well, no, that's okay. It's just that I feel that your board, before you start wrestling with things like pools and other sorts of details, I think you may change the approach.
Okay.
The other comment is that if it is established that it's contributing, the idea of a front facing garage attached to our house is kind of a suburban presentation of the street. These little houses that they've got garages, you know, in terms of they would be freestanding structures and the end of the driveway. That one. So they weren't part of the master house, which was designed for the station house. It's kind of something people over is for the last, but not in. So I think this may change the.
Yes, substantial. Do you want to read for them? Actually, you want me to read the description or?
It's number 181, yeah, the street, right?
Yes.
Okay, and this is the National Register nomination form, which we provide.
Okay.
To be approximate date 1890 and 1900.
Okay.
Two-story, two-bay frame residence, the two bays refer to the two bays. With 2/2 light wooden satin windows, clapboard cladding, shingles on the board for foundation and a front facing roof. This modest cottage has an enclosed counter for that. This modest cottage has an enclosed front porch and a large rear addition. I mean, that's these usually 2 sentences, maybe 3 at the most. So this establishes that it is contributing, and I think that may change your reception to what kind of done, or obviously building small, modest house, small footprint, large enough property to increase if in some way, shape, or form that this may not be the best approach. To maintain the kind of historical appearance of the original house, or its primary nature.
Right, so you understand, you heard our earlier
Right.
discussion.
Yep.
So you can understand the impact it's had on your concept. Zach mentioned the garage, but even this seems to indicate, if I'm correct, this is not subordinate to the original.
Same or perhaps a little bit
Yeah,
higher, I'm not sure what's going on there, but I think that.
right, so,
It's meant to be the exact same height as far as the roof line.
So
I-
the garage and the original house, you're saying is,
The ridge line is gonna be the same height as from the front portion of the 2-story, which is occurring here, would be the same ridge height as what this proposed to be.
so we're looking at A8. And you do that in the same time. So we're all talking about the same thing.
so this is at the bottom of 8, that's
The
the
proposed.
front view.
Let's see, so, individually, so maybe
How far back, which piece of it is go back?
this is the most forward portion, which is right here. Then this section is this next section back. It goes way back, and then this section is even further back.
Okay.
And there's an additional little step back here, which is this where the entrance is. So it does kind of step you back from right to left, kind of like a stair pattern.
So what is the upper sketch?
This is the existing.
That's
house.
existing.
Right. They just, just slid that over, they would.
What is that whole?
Not that.
This is the second floor that's located here right now.
That's there.
Which you
already.
It's
get rid
there.
of.
No, that will remain there.
Oh, you have a very faint line here rising above that
Yes.
tree. There it is.
So we're not touching anything other than that common wall to do the connection of the existing house. And then the proposed would be stepped back further behind this when you're standing there.
Is there a way to drive onto the property and turn
This is what I was thinking.
a garage?
This was the-
You've got 15 feet, this is your 15-foot side yard setback here.
Yeah.
Need
Does it have to be 15 for the garage, or I
Yes.
thought that's just perimeter, I mean, for driveway?
Well, the driveway has to be 5 feet
5 feet.
off the property line,
Right,
but
so,
a garage has to be 15.
This is about 18, it's a little bit off.
so that would leave you the same location of that wall and an 8-foot turn.
A little tight. The typical parking space is 10 by 20. So you need to be able
So
to,
you're a couple feet, right?
You have to have that
You
swing.
need the turning radius to get into the garage and back out of the
Exactly.
garage.
and then you probably have to have more garage
You don't
here
want to
to get that back.
No, we don't want to, but
I think the way it's situated now, it's
You
not
already have this parking area on the property. So
the
this,
law.
the lawn is back here.
Oh, it's.
This exists right now
As a parking.
as a parking area.
Driveway area.
So we would only be adding this little bit of a connector apron
Mhm.
from the existing parking to the proposed garage
It's
entrance.
back quite a ways, I think but this new garage is back.
pick it up, they need it there.
If you look at the photographs, the front page, the left side, this is the front portion of the house. You can kind of see that middle section, and then we would be even further back
Yeah.
beyond that, so you can kind of see.
Yeah, that middle section is there already.
Right, and it's, you can see in the photograph, it's at that far.
Do we have the photograph in here? Oh, there, yeah.
It's the second little package.
Next guy.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a great aerial there. I just think that if we're constructing a two-story garage. First of all, garage door is facing the street. And in 2 stories.
If you step the second story further back, like the garage,
I was only thinking if you have the space, which I believe you do, but I don't design things. Be able to drive in and then turn. So that the garage is not facing the street, it's.
side, there's not enough turning radius.
Well, from that aerial view, I see the footprint of the house has already been considerably.
Yeah, this whole back section kind of has been.
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah,
houses.
you can see in this picture. Where did I see it? From the front.
What's the square footage of the front there? Still meet the GFA requirements. So the existing. I showed the proposed in 2605. I have the existing. Existing GFA is 1893. And then we're proposing 712 square feet of GFA. So your total proposed is going to 2605. Which is meeting the GFA requirements for the village. And we meet lot coverage as well.
How much of that square footage is in the garage?
Fifteen, 4 by 11, so that's about 160 feet.
It's a one car, it's a little bit of a 1+ car. So if a parking space is 200 square feet, it's just a little over that probably.
308.
Okay, so 308 square feet. So it's really 400 square feet is the second floor.
Correct, yeah, second floor is.
Oh, it's less than that because you have the storage and the mudroom.
Correct.
The second floor is really just a proposed master suite of a single bedroom, walk-in closet and a bathroom.
I was giving you these.
No idea.
We have been pretty much guided by the Secretary of Interior's guidelines. And that's what our responsibility is. We kind of need to present that to people. So it's been very hard for us to, maybe we've had long, multiple conversations about windows, thermal pane windows versus original windows. So this is kind of a hard deviation, I feel, for us. I'm just speaking for myself. Would you like to take a second look at this and see if there's any modification that you can make? As I think we said, the things that are the most concerning to us is the garage door facing the public street, right? I think that's it, and if you can find another way to accommodate that. I see it's a one-car garage, and I see why you're saying that you don't even, I see why you're making the choice you're trying to make, but think about it. In my mind, there was a few. So, would anyone else like to make comment on this?
Do you have any questions or objections with regards to the other exterior?
Well, I think you said you're gonna put in clapboard, and which is part of the description of our road. And I think I was thinking you would also too limiting on the description. You should get a copy of this from the office tomorrow.
Okay, but with regards to like the proposed pool or the
Are you
landscaping?
Real quick, just a
Sure.
question. Are you going to match, like, it's really just the garage that's being added on, or is it more?
Just the garage to the house, the garage and then that second floor to the
There
residence.
were two like coach lights on.
So they'll be the same.
It's gonna match everything the same, the trim, the window styles, everything will match.
Since this has been changed so much.
I don't think it's the details so much as how more configuration,
Yeah.
the presentation of this front facade is.
Right. And you talk about how there's something new.
Or if it's subservient to the existing, then
Okay.
it can be.
I mean, after, a big old discussion that we just had.
Right.
Okay, so we'll table this. Would you like to come back at the next meeting or the meeting after that?
So the next meeting is the 22nd.
Is there any suggestions that you may have to for that garage?
Whatever you guys can come up with.
To make that garage.
I was just wondering,
I mean,
I'm
the
not
thought
an
is,
architect, so I'm just giving you like.
could we step it
layman's
back on
idea.
that side
I was.
and cantilever the second floor?
Okay.
Why don't we flag that garage door outside so that you have, yeah, right, so that it's actually.
You don't
it's
see
area.
Inside.
So you don't see the actual garage door.
That's the garage door with side. Yeah.
You're still gonna trim the door.
So you can see that. It looks pretty appropriate to this modest house, as we said earlier, is a freestanding garage. That's what they have. If you drive around town, you can see that people who were fortunate enough to be able to afford to buy their own little cars build a garage in the back corner, just take a picture. They didn't add on to the side of the house and go into a second story, making the lower floor a garage. Which aesthetically is something, is an option for a house that's not in the historic district and not considered contributing to. But extending the length of that facade to a two-story garage facing the street isn't consistent with what it is.
If we got rid of the garage and just made it habitable space and left the footprint of the proposed addition the same, and then put windows on the front, is that a potential?
Come up with.
Okay, but that would be something more viewed as better because it's not a garage. Okay, so it's the garage aspect that you're,
Well, it's
That-
the doors.
It's the front- it's the front facing door.
Like a suburban house.
right,
And
that's
this is
fine.
not a suburban house. It's a modest historic house.
Okay.
We want to keep that feeling.
Is there any comments about the landscaping, the proposed fence, or the swimming pool?
The fence that you mentioned is aluminum.
Yeah.
Black aluminum.
Yeah, and to me, that is not a modest Sag Harbor house kind of fence.
We have had discussions with the homeowner changing it to wood.
Picket fence
Yeah,
would
exactly.
be most likely be appropriate.
That's-
It's very
that's-
simple, very simple picket.
Yep, gives it more privacy, and it goes with the character of the neighborhood and the house.
Right, thank you, Judy. Good comment.
Yes. Anything about the proposed new pool? I'm just trying to get.
No, I think we're ignoring you.
Pools are the same. Pools are the same spot.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to check off the
Right.
boxes as far as this is fine, this is
The
fine.
landscaping, everyone, that was good too.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's
Okay.
right. It's surrounded by those edges of the privet, so. So the owner might get angry for putting in an extra bedroom, is the way I see it.
Extra TV room.
You just added $250,000 to that. All right, so I'll take a motion to close this and table this to the next meeting on the 22nd.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll see you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. I saw my son. Sure thing. 227 Redwood Drive Road.
Thank you.
Does everybody represent that property?
Yep.
Okay, please make your way to the podium.
Hi, I'm Jordana Sobey, owner. Apologize, my architect couldn't be here, so I am not as skilled as all the other people that you've had up here before. But we're not in the historic district, just a reminder, and we're not on the water. About 18 months ago, you approved a much larger renovation, which included a pool and a full-on addition, a whole additional wing to the house. We ended up adding in the pool, but then based on budgetary constraints and the cost of building materials, we decided to propose a much more modest renovation. So basically, you approved a wing, and now that wing's not there. So we kind of thought that we need a smaller board to approve it, but I guess it got kicked up to you guys. So, so instead of that wing, it's not there. We're now not really changing the footprint other than adding a dormer and a balcony. And when we first applied for the original, much larger renovation, you guys also didn't love the proposed window shutters, but you approved them anyway. So we thought about that more, and with the new proposed one, we actually took the shutters out. So, so we're just looking to do a much smaller project. It's a subset of what you guys already approved. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
The balcony.
Do we have?
Yep, the balcony is part of the original renovation that you guys approved.
Do we have
Yep.
plans for the new project?
I believe our architects had submitted them along with the certificate of appropriateness, but I do have like a small
This
copy.
is stamped to December.
So here is August 12. So that's approved. This is new.
Exactly, and we're taking this little part off, moving this to become just a tiny little balcony here instead, moving the well back to where it is. So basically, this wall already here, we're just instead of changing this to be a balcony, so moving it here. And then instead of the garage facing the street, we're just keeping it where it already is. We're literally keeping everything except for now, it's this dormer instead of this wall addition.
Okay.
And the balcony is at the front, so what does it face?
The balcony faces the street and I mean across the water. Across the street, kind of see it.
That's why we're here, because I didn't.
It was very hard to read.
All right, so
So you should do that, right?
I'll take a motion to approve the modification of the reduced project scope, elimination of the garage and the relocation of the balcony to come to the. You get to the door there on the side, to get to the balcony, getting to some.
So
You can modify
the
that.
garage is still where it is, so there's no garage there. This is the doors, the doors, so this is just. There's already stairs up to there.
You have a balcony in front of that double pane window right there.
Right here, yep, those are doors, yes, those are front windows on this, yep.
Did you make the motion or were you just
I
asking?
made the motion, but I just said.
Okay, I'm seconding.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
for coming. Okay, we have somebody who represents 65 Milton Avenue.
Good night. Do our paperwork.
Oh, we have a sign.
He's got his date.
I am told to recuse myself from this because I'm building.
Oh my goodness.
Let me just send over official Instagram. And that's not mine, I'll edit it with the combine. That was- That's fine. I'll just.
Identify yourself, sir.
Nicholas Martin, Martin Architects. How are you all?
Good, Mr. Rowley. How are you?
Thank you for considering this. The proposed modification is for an existing parcel that's already been approved for permit. And we are requesting a second floor deck. It's 280 square feet. And the cladding and railing has been set back 6'8" from the street yard, and 2 feet 8 from the side yard, which is where the neighbor might see this proposed element. And it's essentially going to have a planter on the side that's mostly due by the road, and then railing on the side, partially obscured also by planter. So a opaque object wrapping around, and then also in the application is a new window on the private side of the portion not facing the roads, just to the pool side, and that's a window that looks like a window that's next to it, so it's a simple window. And previously, there's also asked for a see-through fireplace, which has now been removed, so that's no longer being requested.
Are there plans?
Yeah, so.
Getting them right now.
So there's some plans, and since then, the only addition is rather than the window going horizontally, it's now been requested to go vertical, so I have that provision here. So it's a very minor. I also have the drawings not showing the see-through fireplace.
Is this the deck here? When I look?
That is, yeah.
And that is what we're looking at, and then windows.
Yeah, the windows on the next sheet. So that's, I can direct you to A202. It's this new code window, which is fixed, and it's identical to the one to the left of it. And you can see in the rendering as well, which is A901. That's the new window there. And that's in a private section, which is a landscape plan, I don't think visible to the neighbor.
And that's the deck with the
That's
fire, and there was going to be a fireplace there, but now that's.
In the previous schematic, there was a see-through fireplace that was low. It's
Yeah,
now been
okay, that's
removed, so
what-
it's no
okay.
longer being requested.
Oh, so this is no longer here, is that true?
No, so the fireplace is there, but there's an open
No, oh,
fireplace
it's down here.
at the bottom that's not seen in these drawings.
Is it faced?
So just removing that from the program.
So I'm gonna say this to you, you know, that my neighbor, and so
Yes.
I remember complimenting you, and in fact, I'll award you that design. But I'm going to say, my issue personally is with the deck. And first of all, somehow when I read the plans the other day, I thought the deck was going to be somehow recessed as opposed to this prominent. And my concern is that your neighbor to the west, this deck will look down to their backyard. And let me finish. So my thought was, I kind of walked, I didn't walk the property the other day, but I looked at the property pretty carefully. My thought was that if you had something, a wall, maybe 6 foot, 8 foot wall, that came off from the fireplace running north, from the fire chimney, to obscure vision down into that, I would personally be more comfortable. We've been very concerned about interrupting other people's privacy, or particularly when they've had it for 20 or 30 years. Views to the east, I don't care about because it's a public street, so you're looking at front of houses on the other side. There is a neighbor to your north, but that's overlooking their driveway, to be considered the side yard of their house. They don't have any pools or anything like that. So that's my opinion.
Okay.
So, putting one tall trees or whatever, it's not gonna block, and it's not gonna block the view.
No, they just cleared the property and they took down just about all the old growth. They took down all the old growth.
It says that there's a metal planter.
So what I'm
Right,
saying,
is that-
over
yeah.
his planter,
Yeah.
this is north, this is towards the border, okay?
Okay.
He's got a neighbor who lives here on the west side. So if he had a wall, maybe 6 feet or 7 feet tall, that went out to the end of this thing, then they would have.
You want it to be
Just obscure the view into the neighbor's yard, because this is.
just that
the neighbor-
side, so
Just that side,
they still have a view.
right. Any other thoughts or comments?
Well, that sounds, yeah, as long as something can be done to hide, so the neighbor doesn't see you and so forth. See you.
I wonder if, the architecture has these rain screen elements. I wonder if we could propose a rain screen element with the lower section obscured completely, so say, like the rest of the design, say, 3'6" or so, completely obscured. And then maybe a series of rain screens that would go to the height, would do the trick, especially if the landscaping would grow on that rain screen. I'm just concerned the architecture may be compromised if it were a solid object with no purpose otherwise.
You should think
So privacy is not no purpose, and you want to put in a window that looks down over the neighbors anyway, right, on that side.
Well, that's a first floor window that's,
It's down here.
it's.
Catch floor to ceiling glass.
There's one there already? Is there?
No, there isn't.
There's the property slopes, the neighbors, in some areas it's higher than that, so they can look up into the neighbor's house.
This current lot though is lower than that neighbor. That's
That's what I said, they can look up to the neighbor, into the neighbor's land.
But if we did include a substantial landscape plan, that was approved as well.
So,
Before.
yeah, I'm not trying to challenge you.
Okay.
If you want to do something that looks like a siding of the windscreen, maybe it can be 3-dimensional. So you have your windscreen panels and then your second set of panels behind them. That might work, but just so they're not peeking through if someone wants to wear a bathing suit and have privacy, they have right to.
And you like that all along the entire.
We said it's only 6 foot.
No, it's 2'8" setback from the edge of the parapet of the roof, but the length of that element is 19'1", and then the other element.
Oh, wait a second.
We thought it was just.
Wait a second, now you're talking about this being extended to the end of,
No, it's,
where does this go to?
yeah, let me explain that.
We have this here.
Yes, here's the floor plan that you use. So this is the area that she's requesting, which is 285 square feet. And there's already an existing recessed portion.
This is what we were
Right,
looking
you were
at.
saying was.
We said, oh, that's great, that's recess. That's
Yes.
wonderful.
Right.
So this is the addition
That's the. what
that's
we're
under
requesting.
consideration
Yes.
today.
So we had proposed a solid planter plus landscaping of probably 4'6" or so high. And then because this is in an area that's, it's really a circulation space, there's no way of sitting there or doing anything, it's just a walkway. That the main area to sit would be in this corner, which is why we made that obscured from the public. This corner here,
Is that down in the
But
ground or up in the
this
air?
is on the roof.
that's on the second.
It's not
It's on the
the
second
roof.
floor.
Okay, I
See, it's a little confusing, but
Yeah.
they have,
very hard. to
they-
make that happen.
this is down, this
This is what he said.
This side is exposed, this is the west elevation of the property, so the neighbors over here.
Okay.
So this is ground and then the garage is underneath. There's a driveway down here. So although this looks modest, I was thinking it was only here. You're really talking about all of this area, 4 feet tall, looking down into the
All
neighbor's
along
bed.
there?
From here, from this recess he's showing us here, all the way up to here.
It's from here, to- that's correct.
So I'm just saying, it seems to me they could do something, and what he's suggesting is picking up a look like this
Oh.
to put up here. And I'm saying that's great, as long as it's double sided. And I think I'm 6'6", so if I say 6 feet, I'm trying to give you a break here. But, or I want to look into the yard, I haven't decided which. But the point is, 6 or 7 feet, I think would be appropriate, and you can, pick this concept up, right?
Is that shared by the rest of the board?
Well, I definitely feel like they need the privacy.
Yeah.
Honestly, very often.
We say no.
We really look at raise.
Yeah, that puts a red flag for us when somebody has a second floor balcony
Right.
and it's could look over everything.
Okay, so if it's okay, we'll go back to the drawing board and come back and represent.
Okay.
Did you say that the fixed unit is approved? The fixed first floor unit?
Let's see the entire piece of paper.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'll take a motion to table this until, you want the next meeting or you want it on
No, the next one.
the 23rd?
I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second.
All saying aye?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll move on to old business. Is anyone here for 55 Howard Street?
We're gonna make a motion to table this till the October 13th.
Hot dog. We have one more Howard though.
Yeah.
Table.
So I'll second that. I will make that motion. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's table until October.
All right,
And
now we have Brian.
57 Howard.
Yeah, and Brian is going to present.
Okay, Brian.
Hey, can you hear and see me?
Oh, that's
You
neat.
don't need to scream.
I also have Gabe and Pietro from the architecture firm should be with me. So hopefully they'll join. But we are here for 57 Howard Street. We're proposing a proposed addition renovation of the existing dwelling. The architect in their design designed the house in a way to keep the proposed additions subordinate and distinguished from the existing historic home. We're obviously preserving the front facade. Pietro, I don't know if you'd like me to share the plans or if you want to share them from your end.
Well,
Walk
we're
through.
gonna look at it
I'm
here.
not able to, I'm not able to.
I'll give you access to share.
Okay, or if you want to pull them up, Carrie, if that's easier, whatever's easier for everyone.
I like to look at the screen and look at you.
For the record, although you're very popular here, young man, can you please identify yourself? Can you identify yourself? Who's ever making a presentation?
Same name, right?
Pietro Rosato. I'm the architect.
And your address is?
And I also have my project manager, Gabriel Landaverdi, in the Zoom call.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Try to start sharing. I had to make you co-host. This is a learning.
You want me to share, Pietro? Or?
Brian, are you?
I don't think I
guess
can.
Brian.
I can share. Let me just pull them up. Not a problem.
You guys want this?
All right, you can see it, Brian.
Okay. This is a site plan showing the existing footprint and the proposed additions in the darker shade. Floor plans, which I don't know that we necessarily need to get too involved in right now. These are probably gonna be the most helpful. There's the proposed front, left, rear, and right elevations. As you can see, the existing front facade is being preserved. Pietro, I don't know if you want to speak more articulately to your plans.
Sure, just to kind of give a rundown of, can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Just to give a rundown of the floor plan, we're planning to add obviously an addition to the back, as well as an addition to an existing bump out, which is towards the front of the house. As you can see in the sort of gray area, all the gray areas are the additions, as well as a stone patio in the back of the house. The house is an existing 3-bedroom home, and we're making it a 4-bedroom home. And on the first floor, we are.
I'm sorry. I have not been able to follow you on these plans. Would you kind of slow down here?
Yes.
We're gonna hurry. Let's start with what's existing and then what changes you're gonna make. You said everything in gray is your additions.
That's correct.
At A100, is that clear? Is that true?
That's correct.
That is correct.
Back to the house. This is all addition.
Sheet 201 is at the very end, is very useful because it gives you a nice metric. Perspective from NASA. So you can see the original house there to the right, and then a lot of scope.
This is a lot.
And this is in the book, correct?
Yes, this will contribute to this.
Contributing.
Yeah.
So Zach, I'm looking at the square chimney. So those windows were saying around the square chimney up until the end of the roof line, that's all. Well, that's all contributing.
Right.
I'm looking at
There's a slight grade.
There's a bottom.
I think it's-
Looking at this one, but the same thing.
Right.
Beginning
This
of
is
the
just turned.
Right. Okay.
The lower sheet is the front facing to the right. Okay, to the side.
Back, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, this is certainly a massive addition. For one bedroom, right? Sorry, for one bedroom. It's all adding. it's all-
Some bedroom.
Yeah, well, you can stretch out.
When we go back to the floor plan, more than that.
Where would you like us to, what do you want to speak to, guys? What page do you want us on?
So I guess it's the top of.
Well, we started with A100.
A100.
A100, the floor plans. So the floor plans, if we start with the first floor, we are, as you can see from the shaded area, we are increasing the kitchen, making an open kitchen, living and dining area. And we are laying out the first floor, relaying out the first floor a bit by including new stairs to the basement, the U-shaped stairs right in the middle of the house, and okay.
This is the,
Well, just actually, I don't want to interrupt, but the layout of the interior is not an issue simply because this board has no actual interest in any of that. What is of interest is the scale of what you're proposing.
Okay.
Its relationship, the new work to the old. So those are the basic, issues, where the staircase goes.
So
You might want to start right elevations and.
Yeah, let's look at the first floor plan. And right here, the first question goes to Zach, because it looks like you're taking that.
A little Victorian bay and.
Yeah, on that foundation here, right? Yeah, right.
This right here, right. So that's an existing Victorian period bay window that you're looking to double in depth. I'm just guessing that that's what the concept is here, because if this exists.
does it? I don't think it does.
Right.
Proposed, it's proposed,
red.
proposed or gray.
Gray
Yeah.
here, proposed.
Brian, can you go to the 3D model?
Yeah, that's proposed.
But I'm guessing that in the present house, that side, that shallow addition is on one story and you're looking to double it out and then go up to a second story under it.
That's correct.
Tin roof.
Okay.
So that I think in the scheme, just personally, in the scheme of things, that's just one small element in a lot of other extensions going out in more than one direction. But my feeling and approach to this house would be to try to identify what is historically intact and to focus on preserving that in order to make it larger toward the back in a way that's sympathetic to what you're preserving. So in other words, if the elements of this historical house are being expanded, extended, increased, changed in some way, then the preservation of the historical building is not really paramount. That's just becomes a convenient way of making it all.
And it needs to be, this needs to be preserved.
Right.
The original house needs to be preserved.
And not only preserved, it looks like it's gonna be overrun by this.
Yeah, that's.
Well, that, I mean, that,
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that goes into.
I mean, so just to look at the big, that bay window, now it's a one window deep on one story. That's a very typical, probably a Victorian era extension, or maybe an original house. Now that's 2 windows deep and 2 stories high under a standing seam tin roof. It's nothing like the historical feature that exists that the board would like to have preserved. So to me, and I feel that that's just an example. The other thing is the introduction of these shed roofed dormers is nothing like what the period of this house wants to have. So that's introducing a whole other design element that's not really appropriate to the period of the house. My basic impression is that the scale of what's being proposed is much larger than what the original house can support. It's not up to me or the board to figure out how to do that. I think it's just too much addition here.
I'm gonna ask you guys to read the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines on this. Because it is a contributing house, so we're constrained by that, as I said earlier. And we have copies of them available in the office, or you get it at the New York State Department of Parks, Historic Preservation. And they have very, very restrictive guidelines in terms of proportionality between addition and particularly on the front street, front view, front side of the house.
Very hard to hear with all the paper folding, sorry.
Okay, so I'm just gonna repeat myself.
Yeah, if you don't mind, thank you.
Not at all. So I'm asking you to go to the Secretary of Interior's guidelines on historic preservation. And they're very restrictive in terms of what can be done, but they're all focused on proportionality to the street view facade in terms of things that you can do behind that, below it, that can't be seen, are more easy to approve than something that alters what the pedestrian's view walking by a house would be. So it goes from windows to materials to everything else. And, you know, while this is a massive and impressive house, it as you conceive it, I don't think at this point, the way you've done it is something that we can improve and maintain consistency with the guidelines.
We do have some renderings for you guys to show with some street views, because these views are, you know, bird's eye views that obviously make it seem even bigger than it is. And if you look at it from the street, yes, one of the additions that we were talking about, you know, that you call Victorian, you know, with the paneling, it seems a bit big, but I would like to show that to you just to get some feedback from you as well.
Renderings are just fungible. They're just an architecture. Well, we look at them, but they're just an artist's perspective, right? So, but sure, let's look at them.
Okay. So this is the front elevation of the house, and you can see that it's a decent sized home, and you can sort of see begin to see the left side, the addition on the left side on the second floor of the bump out.
Is that bump out existing now?
There is a bump out existing on the first floor, okay? On the first floor, and we're putting a second floor. We're just adding to it. We're adding 4 feet to it.
Well, you're extending it out and you're going to a second floor, so what are the 4 feet that you're referring to?
Gabe, do you have an existing, the existing house, please?
Well, no, if you look at sheet A100, I'm sorry. So if you look at sheet A100, in the shaded area, it shows a dimension of 4'4", right? So we're expanding towards the south side or the left side of the house, 4 feet, 4 inches. And we're matching the width, if you will, of the existing bay. So yes, that section is only 1 story. We're adding a second story over that, but it's also expanding in length by 4 feet, 4 inches. So like you said, it was a single window bay, and now it's a double window bay.
I'm not sure which one is to say, but so you're adding a floor to an original facade. You're moving the facade out. You're eliminating the windows. You're moving the facade out 4 feet or 2.5 feet, whatever it was, and then you're putting a second floor on top of it.
That is correct.
That's
very helpful. What you usually see is a drawing that shows the existing. It can be compared with what's proposed, because
Yes.
in this case, it's a little hard to visualize. We're looking at perhaps photographs, perhaps isometric schematic things, floor plans. But it doesn't really graphically give you the before and after. And if that could appear, front, sides, back, each to their own sheet, that gives the board a much better understanding of what's being proposed.
Well, I would say that on sheet T101, we have a sky plane diagram, and it shows the outline of what's existing. Granted, it doesn't show, we can't do we're not showing you a comparison of what's, an existing facade versus what's the proposed plan. But on sheet T101, it does outline where in green what's existing and in yellow and red what's proposed.
So what I was suggesting is that when you sheet A200, you would have, where you have the upper left side, it says proposed front elevation. So next to that would be existing front elevation. And then we're going to have a proposed viewport rear or better that east-west or however you style it. Then for each of these 4 elevations, if the board could see what is existing to compare with what you're proposing, that really illustrates
That's
what you want to build. Because what you're presenting here is the finished product, but it is not showing the board.
It's not delineated. So the bottom line is you can't say yes to that. Right, because we don't understand it well enough. But I'm just saying, so we're asking you for greater clarity. I'm asking you to be familiar with our restrictions too.
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing what.
Are you doing paper again? And does anyone else want to comment? I don't know what else to say. Anybody else want to say?
The original structure is great the way it is.
It needs to be preserved, like I said, or maybe you don't like that word, but, and then the new seems to take away the old, like when you look at it. So
Okay.
now the design needs to be so that the original is prominent.
Okay.
Are you guys local? Are you here locally or where are you?
Manhattan, in Manhattan.
So we have a library here in Sag Harbor that's historic called the Germain Library. And it's expanded. And the facade that faces the street was left in place.
Okay.
And then as it moved back away from the street, both the side elevations and back elevations were more modernized. If you can look it up, much more, right?
Yes. It's glass and steel.
Right, so you can see that they really just skirted the line in terms of what the Secretary of Interior would do. So if you look that up, as John Germain Library, if you look it up on Google or anything, you can get an idea of how strict it is about enforcing the front facade and how much, what's the word? Alternatives, that's not the word. But opportunity you have towards the back and away from the street.
They just drove around, I think they see other examples of even framed houses that have been enlarged, but not massively.
Yeah.
In this way.
This addition is overwhelming the original house. It just has to be toned down, made smaller, and please just respect the original house itself.
And show us the elevation so it delineates the old from the new, so we can make a better decision on its effect on the house, because it's kind of hard to tell as it is.
And I'm gonna have to I'd like to see what the neighboring properties look like too.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole lot of glass in this house. And we had problems with the house across the street from the school. We had to get them to You hear it?
Yeah.
And so if this was on a 5-acre lot, that's one thing, but it's not. And our problem here is that a lot of these properties, particularly contributing properties, were built close together for a lot of reasons. There's not a lot of space between them. So people get used to privacy, they deserve privacy. And the other part of our mission is to make sure that people's privacy is respected and protected. Because there's an example, one person who got away with a roof deck and the neighbors told and moved away because they had a wonderful backyard and all of a sudden someone was looking down to them on their roof. So I'm just saying to you, that's one thing, but we are restricted by rules of the federal government. Town was literal.
Understood. I mean, we are preserving the front facade of the structure. Just, I understand the dormer is a question and the expansion of that. That's certainly something we need to look into, but we're certainly preserving the front. And measures are taken to step the roof line down and make the proposed additions to the windows differentiate from the historic structure. To differentiate, but the comments are noted.
Okay.
So motion.
Yeah, so would you like to have a month to come back?
No, this is a discussion.
We're here for discussion, so we.
It's only discussion.
Okay.
So it's up to you, or Ron, to either come back as for more discussion or to come back with a plan.
No, no discussion item.
I can only do it once, so now you
Yeah,
have.
you just modify. Yep.
Yep, we gotta come back with the plan. Okay.
Pietro, anything else to add, or otherwise we can regroup?
Yep, yeah, we can regroup. All right, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you all. Have a great night. Appreciate your time as always.
Good night.
Okay, I will take a motion to close the meeting. Anybody? I will motion to close the meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. That's good.